starting off this bulletin with some breaking news that's coming in. Now, Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar has spoken on the Parliament Logjam. Jagdeep Dhankar said, and I quote, "Democracy is about dialogue, discussion and debate for the public good. Democracy must not be reduced to disturbance and disruption," adding that the temples of democracy must remain functional to secure justice for the people. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also called for a meaningful dialogue to uphold the principles of democracy. So, Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar has now spoken on the Parliament Logjam, and he said, and I quote, that democracy is about dialogue, discussion and debate for the public good. Let's listen in.
It is all about dialogue, discussion, deliberation and debate to secure public. What is democracy? Democracy is all about dialogue, discussion, deliberation and debate to secure public good. Surely democracy can't be disturbance. It can't be disruption. Disruption and disturbance are antithetical to a sense of democratic values. I am pained, anguished to indicate to you all that disturbance and disruption have been weaponized as a strategic means to taint the temples of democracy that should be functional 24/7 to secure justice for the people at large. There can be no alibi for not making Parliament functional every second. People of this country are paying huge price for it. But I am not on the financial implication of it. I am on the larger issue. When there is disruption in Parliament on a particular day, there can't be question hour. Question hour is a mechanism to generate accountability and transparency in governance. The government is obligated to respond to every question and to the supplementaries that are raised. This goes to enormous benefit of governance. Everyone is on track. Not having a question hour can never be rationalized.
Our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh is joining us on this story. Pallavi, can you give us more context to Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar's statement on the Parliament Logjam?
So basically, he's talking also in the context of the last 2 days of Parliament session and ahead of the one which is reconvening tomorrow. We saw that on 20th and 21st, the 2 days when the Parliament session took place last week, there was no work done. In fact, you saw both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha repeated adjournments because the government was ready for a debate and discussion, but under Rule 176 on Manipur, but the opposition parties insisted that it has to be on 267, which means a motion needs to be moved first, and more importantly, the Prime Minister must actually make the same statement inside the House which he made outside. So that deadlock has continued. Remarks had to be expunged. The Vice President, who's also the chairperson of Rajya Sabha, talks about the fact that there is something called parliamentary democracy. A certain amount of decorum must be maintained. The House is meant to debate and discuss every issue. If you do not have a decorum, then you cannot do so. And that's exactly what he's talking about in this hope that tomorrow onwards the House runs.
Pallavi, also, Jagdeep Dhankar also highlighted the significance of the question hour. Could you tell us about that?
So question hour is that opportunity which is given both in Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha, where you can ask any question of the government, basically of the ministers, on any topic you want to raise. And sometimes they are very important ones. If you want some clarification on behalf of your voters or your constituents, it can be on any issue, economy, social issues, and so on and so forth. And that's the reason why 1 hour is allotted in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, where it's a kind of free for all to ask any kind of questions, and you can hold the ministers accountable. It's considered to be sacrosanct and it's considered to be important. That's what the chairperson was saying, that because of the kind of hangama we are seeing inside the House, even an important question now where you can hold your ministers accountable and get clarifications from them, that also is not being able to take place.
Also, Pallavi, on one hand, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has made such a statement, but on the other hand, the opposition is planning to step up its protest on the Manipur issue tomorrow outside the parliament as well as inside.
That's right. I mean, multiple notices have already been given. More is expected to be given tonight and tomorrow. And as I just said, what the opposition is demanding is that first, the Prime Minister must repeat his statement on Manipur in both the houses. Then the discussion can begin. The Prime Minister will have to sit through the discussion and has to go under Rule 267, which means a motion has to be passed. Government says we are ready for debate and discussion, but you cannot dictate such terms. It can be a simple, quick discussion on the Manipur issue. But at the same time, the BJP is also demanding that there should be a discussion on other acts of violence in states like Chhattisgarh and West Bengal. And that's where the deadlock is taking place. I don't think tomorrow is going to be any different. At least 31 new bills is what the government has listed. But it's going to be tough for them to be passed through discussions.
Pallavi, do you think Mr. Dhankar's statement will have any impact on the upcoming sessions in the parliament?
Well, I mean, he only can appeal as a chairperson. I mean, as I said, the opposition has already made up its mind. They don't want a debate and discussion to take place without the conditions that they've attached being actually accepted. And I don't see that coming in from the government, because the government will now also try and raise several other issues. The BJP certainly will. Why don't you want to talk about West Bengal? Why don't you want to talk about Rajasthan? Why are you being selective in your outreach? So there is no meeting point between the two sides. And there are also no attempts now being made to reach out to each other.